Welcome to Emerging Franchise Brands, the podcast that introduces you to the visionary founders of America's fastest growing franchise opportunities. We'll also hear from industry pros as they share what it really takes to achieve the elusive milestone of 100 plus locations. I am your host, Frank Fiume, founder of I9 Sports, and my 20-year journey from inception to acquisition has given me a unique perspective on how to succeed in franchising. Join me as we welcome today's guest. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Emerging Franchise Brands podcast. On today's show, I have the founder and CEO of Perfect Care Match, Leah Doroch. But first, I'd like to introduce my co-host once again, the founder of Mini Athletics, my buddy Kirk Bowyer. Kirk, what is going on?
I'm really good, Frank. How are you? You good?
I'm doing well. We'll get to do another show together.
I know. I'm super excited to be here. As you know, we have this, I think we can call it a tradition now, of finding the British and American collaborations that have gone really well. Now, we're some weeks out of the Ryder Cup, so I feel we possibly need to, get things back on track. So we've been talked about the music side of things with Elton John, Bob Dylan.
Right. Okay.
And we talked sport, Andy Murray and Serena Williams, that incredible duo at Wimbledon.
Right.
Now I'm going to give you a challenge.
Oh, boy.
Can you name any kind of collaborations in film or TV that there's some British American really good kind of relationships in there in some form
or
of
TV? Oh my gosh! First of all, I'm still trying to get past the Ryder Cup there, and thanks for throwing that out there because that was absolutely horrible for the U.S. But congratulations to Europe; they did phenomenal. They absolutely deserve to win that.
Yeah, it was fun to watch.
Well, it was fun for you to watch. Now to answer your question, I'm going to phone a friend here and ask Anthony. Anthony, can you help me out here?
I'm not sure. British and American.
I feel like Kirk's got one lined up.
I do. I've got a really good one because obviously we want to speak to Leah.
Fine. What do you got?
The Holiday.
Is that a clue? Hold on.
No, that's the name of the film, The Holiday. This one was lost.
Forget it. And Anthony, don't edit this out. Leave this in. Okay.
Get on with the show.
We're going to get on with the show. Okay. Now let's bring on Leah Doroch. Leah, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you guys? You guys are having a good time. I want to join.
We are Kirk and I do have a great time together, but he always gives me like the most obscure, like singing duo and obscure, obviously movie. I have no idea when Leah, do you know about The Holiday, the movie?
Of course I do. It's a great chick flick, and it's about an American that goes to England and a person from England that goes over to America, and they all fall in love.
Thanks, Leah.
How about you two just do the show and leave me out? I'll go home.
Love that. Yeah.
Well, okay, Leah, we could do music trivia afterwards as well. But let's talk about Perfect Care Match. Before we bring Leah on, here are 3 things you'll learn from today's episode. 1, the life-changing moment that shaped her mission. 2nd, why she launched her company during COVID to help seniors stay safe. And finally, Leah's unique recruitment system for caregivers that benefits her franchisees. So I know you're super passionate about this, and I'd love to start by talking about the history of why did you start such service, and tell me about what it is.
Yeah, so I started Perfect Care Match in 2020. I had left a job, and I was looking at going into teaching wellness, health and wellness, and I'd left a job in home care. I'd run a home care company for a number of years, and I've been in the assisted living world and all of that for about 20 years now. And so I left there to really focus on wellness and helping, because I saw so much illness, right? And all of those years. And I thought, how do we build health and wellness within family units? And so that was my goal. And then COVID hit. And so I kind of was taken back to, well, how do I help this population with what I already know? and keeping seniors home, keeping seniors safe. We saw such dramatic loss of the senior population, during COVID. It was just really difficult. So having people be home was the safer alternative. And it is the most wanted path usually for seniors to be able to stay in their home safely, independently. So I did decide to open up my own home care agency in June of 2020 in the midst of COVID.
Congratulations. That's quite courageous.
Yeah, and it was, I know a lot of people, so it was, easy for me to pick up and start making things happen. And so that's what we've done. We've created Perfect Care Match because a lot of families are looking for just that, the perfect care match to ensure that mom or dad or auntie, whoever it is that they're overseeing as, somebody that needs care, it really helps to have that partner in care that understands what you're going through and ensuring that the match is made. But we're so much more than that. Like, we have a whole family wellness hub and we do free workshops. We talk about the Blue Zone diet. I'm a certified nutrition coach. I'm also a board certified holistic practitioner. I studied under Deepak Chopra and 5 other physicians and do a lot of different things, hypnotherapy and all of that. So it helps a lot of folks that are going through different transitionary phases with their family members that are aging. And a lot of times the families themselves, the younger generations, aren't really thought of, which that impacted me. My grandfather had Alzheimer's in the 80s, and I was only, a young tot at that time. I was like 8 or 9 years old when he passed away, and it was really traumatic. So
Sure.
that's part of what inspired me to do a lot of education about brain health and different holistic things that you can do to ensure that your health and wellness is stabilized through end of life, as
Wow.
far as you can have quality of life.
Sure. I'm just thinking here for a moment, Leah, about logistically speaking, you start this business in June of 2020, and you've got to find caregivers to go into people's homes, and the caregivers are already stretched, probably that the ones that were out there and available. Like, how did you logistically get that business off the ground?
Yeah. So I have had a lot of time and research put into the way to get caregivers, because that was always a problem even before COVID. Like, how do you
Right.
get the most qualified, best talent? And so I actually developed a system of recruiting nationwide. And so we have a very intricate recruiting system and vetting system where we qualify our candidates to ensure that they meet our standards. And, we do a pretty good job. I have a database of over 30,000 healthcare workers that have applied to our jobs nationwide. And so I'm building a workforce. They're trained with our training modules and that sort of thing. They also a teacher for the National Association of Dementia Practitioners, an instructor for them. So I can help people like learn so much more about dementia. And 1 in 2 people over 85 have Alzheimer's. So it's like touching every client. You have a pretty big chance that they're going to have some level of dementia or be, identified with Alzheimer's. And it's so important and critical that people know how to help manage that and help those folks feel safe and okay.
Wow. Leah, you obviously have an impressive background, and I don't want to say you had an unfair advantage, but come on, you were a powerhouse already in this industry, it sounds like already. So, and you had quite the Rolodex as well.
Yeah, so I did. And, that made it simple to kind of move forward with building the business and
Right.
ensuring financial relevance. And, we're talking about franchises here. But I
Sure.
also have a formula, and it's not something that isn't being used by a lot of different companies. I did work for several different companies like Home Instead, and learned a lot about how they do franchising early on in my career. And I've
Mhm.
worked for some of the big assisted living. So I understood really how to tap into the marketplace and get there quickly as well, from a standpoint of how do you get referrals for business. And so we do that. Plus our whole system of the health and wellness workshops. It's very appealing to both healthcare workers and also to folks that are just experiencing what's happening to mom and dad. And they themselves are family caregivers wondering, how do I beat this stress? How do I manage all of this?
I just I actually did a bit of research on you and your
Yeah.
business, and I think it's really fantastic. Frank hit the nail on the head when he said that you're a real key person of influence here. I went through your LinkedIn, and
Yeah.
it's just full of being certified in different areas that make you this real expert in your area. My question is, how how are you different in terms of care? How's your business different to others in this sector?
Yeah. And that's a great question. I think that it's multifaceted because we do come from my school of thought of using Ayurvedic approaches to care, which is the world's most comprehensive and oldest study on humanity is through Ayurveda. And a lot of people are not really knowledgeable about Ayurveda, but it's the sister science of yoga. And meditation has come from Ayurveda, essential oil practices, massage therapy, all of those things that are helping people with their self-care has originated from this system that's ancient. And so even the approach to eating is from Ayurveda. There's different approaches to ensure balance. And we're all looking for that peace, balance, homeostasis. That's where we need to be. Even as we're aging and then we're having health problems, it's important to find that level of homeostasis, whatever the possibility is, right? So we're always working towards that with our caregivers and our clients, seeing how we can bring their lives into balance, feeling safe, feeling that they're having quality existence, right till end of life. I've gone and sat bedside with somebody who's blind, from 7 years before, but has dementia and can't remember they're blind and they're laying in bed. And it's so difficult. Imagine being in that state. And how do you help balance them? And I've done meditation with them and I've helped them, feel like there's some level of support for them in just the physical world that they're in, and it's like we come upon these wonderful people that have done such amazing things in their lives too. And now they're in a state where they're declining. And it's like, how do we honor them? We pick certain pieces out and we engage them with pieces of their life from the past so they can feel that energy. Like if somebody loved to garden, maybe we do some things with essential oils or imagery to remind them that this is what it felt like when you were in your garden. Let's think about that. Let's be in that moment. So we'll do things like that. We'll also use different breathing techniques and that sort of thing. But that's all about the holistic side. I have a geriatric psych nurse on my team, and she oversees a lot of the care with us so that we do have that clinician. She's our clinical geriatric care director. Yeah, we have a really amazing team of people, and we do both live-in and hourly care. So not every agency does the live-in care, but we do, so you can have consistency of the caregiver as well.
Interesting. What percentage of your clients are going with the in-home?
So the live-in model, we have probably about at this time 60% live-in and 40% hourly. A lot of people
Really?
end up starting out as hourly, yeah, because maybe they need less hours and then they may graduate to needing more care, and it's so much more affordable to do live-in. Or we also have blended programs if they have less traffic, so they have a
Mhm.
live-in and then maybe they have an hourly shift come in at night. So, these are things that I become a specialist in because of all the research and work that I did prior to starting my company. Understanding the regulations are very important too.
As a franchisee, because you have this wealth of experience and knowledge and all of the things that you put into place,
hmm
as is one of your franchisees, how are they given that blueprint? How do you ensure that they are given all the things that they need to give the best care
Yeah,
that they can?
right. So, a couple things that we do when the franchisees come on, they actually are going to have us handle their operations for 6 months so that they can really focus on getting out there. It's a lot of relationship building, and that's what their focus is going to need to be, is being out and meeting all of the referral sources and getting the brand out there in their area. And then once, they reach either 500,000 in sales or they hit the 6-month mark, they're graduating to adding a scheduler or other care team members in, to help the operations piece of it all. We also are always going to be doing their recruiting. And I know that's like a really tough pain point for this business. But
Sure.
as I said, that's something that we have really got down and do it well. So they will just be provided with candidates every month that they can hire, and determine that they're going to be able to hire them. They will hire those caregivers on as their own employees, but they'll be put through our vetting system and presented as candidates. So part of the work is going to be off the table too for them.
Leah, I've interviewed many founders that are in this business, and you're the one founder that I'm talking to that is creating that vehicle to recruit for the founders, as far as I remember. And that is a complete game changer, because it really changes the type of person that you could look for as a franchisee, because typically in this space, you're looking for franchisees that are getting out there, they're working on spending the time recruiting.
Right.
Whereas,
Yeah, and it's always like, what comes first? Do you recruit
right.
or do you do the sales? And so they don't have to worry about that, because we're going to have those candidates right there for them. We also, as I said, recruit nationwide. So we'll be able to share that information with them. Is this a caregiver that's capable of doing a dementia case or a hospice case? Because maybe they've worked for us and they're working for us now. So as I mentioned initially in our conversation, we're really working towards a standard, like a standard worker of a model of the perfect caregiver in, different categories of expertise and personalities, of course, but our workforce is really being developed from this. And I came upon the concept of franchising, of course, from, Home Instead, my time there. But as I've matured and worked through this industry, I've seen the need for that sharing of data, and it's not so easily and readily available. But since we are the mothership of this organization,
Right.
we actually can share these pieces of reference with these franchisees, where if they were just calling another home care that somebody worked for, they would be limited in what information they can release.
Sure. Leah, entrepreneurship is not easy.
No.
This couldn't have been perfect. Give me something in the early days, a challenge that you guys had to overcome.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of challenges because it just is a human element. I think that's it. I think a lot of people were really afraid in the early days of COVID. We all were, right? And
Yeah.
so that was really challenging. But I found that this was almost like a haven for caregivers, for CNAs actually, that had been in the nursing homes and in the hospitals experiencing so much death. And they just wanted to go somewhere and do their work and have a break because it was so mentally draining. And they actually have support groups and everything still within the hospital systems from all the post-traumatic stress that's happened. And with my background, actually, I've developed a program called Heal the Healer. And so that's something we're launching to help the healthcare force as well.
Wow. Leah, I kind of see your early days of starting out, right in the midst of COVID. The pain that you went through to start this was actually just such a benefit to other people, because from the caregivers, like you're saying, they got a chance to change their career and getting out of the hospitals, going to other people's homes. And then look at all the people that you were able to save from having to go into an institution. Talk about kind of the perfect, perfect opportunity, but you had to go through the pain of starting this during COVID at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, but I was so fortunate because we did so many different things. Like we actually had COVID containment teams because we do staffing as well. So my agency would be called in, like they would say, send us 6 live-ins for this for this assisted living. And we would have 6 live-ins go and have the population sectioned off from the normal population in a assisted living. So, that was some services that we provided as well. And they were very brave people that would go in and do the care. But, it's before the vaccinations were available and that sort of thing. So, people were still prone to it. But there were a lot of people, it was so strange. And I think we, probably will have data that's more concrete someday, or maybe studies I'm not aware of. But there are people that just have an immunity to it and they know it, and they're able to go and care for people, and they don't get sick from it. I've had it. I've had it a couple times.
Me
But
too.
yeah. But I think a lot of us have had it now. But yeah, so it's life-changing for everybody. But I really, really think that, it's been an experience that has changed our outlook on family wellness. And that's where we're coming from, building generational health and wellness within families.
But I think that what you do as well is, we could talk about COVID and the transmission rates and all those kind of things, but your business seems to be coming at it from 3 angles, and I've taken this from your website because I really love it.
Oh,
One is
thanks.
the nourishment, and there's a photo of a delicious plate of food, and
Yeah.
not one you would possibly expect to see in a care home, for example.
Right. Exactly.
And that's when I'm looking at it, thinking of my family, thinking, okay, yeah, I'd like to eat that myself. So
Yeah.
that's good. The second one was movement. And obviously, I'm all about movement, as
Okay.
is Frank, and the physical literacy and the motivations to move. And we know from COVID point of view, those that were more unhealthy, shall we say, obese, etc., they had less chance of being successful in fighting COVID. I think
Right.
that's pretty true to
True.
say, right? And then engagement, and there's a lovely picture of a lady learning to play the piano. And I distinctly remember when I was little going into a care home, and it's one of my profound memories where all of them were all of the ladies and gentlemen within that care home were just sitting and doing nothing. And it
Yeah.
just looked super
Mhm.
boring, and they just looked super depressed. And I
Right.
just thought, what a lovely thing. They're going to be eating great. They're going to be moving. They're going to be enjoying life, and they're going to be engaging, going to be enjoying life. This is such a great business that's going
Yeah.
to make such a big impact on people.
Mm.
So why wouldn't people want to buy your franchise?
Right. And I oftentimes hear a lot of people talk about hospice, and, I'm also an end of life doula, and I've actually done coaching for people that are understanding they have a life threatening, or, it is their last chapter. But why look at just, we're here living, breathing, right? And we're still doing it. Why look at that dying piece? Why not look at the wellness piece, even though you have a disease process? Because
Mm.
you could actually improve the quality of your life through that last chapter. You could actually extend your life some too. So I have a lot of discussions with families about that. I'm not so involved so much in the one-to-one communication and coaching anymore as I am like the overall programming and education. We are hiring on coaches too for health and wellness, and helping people understand at every age that is important. Nutrition, movement, and engagement, all of it is
Mm.
so important. We know that studies have proven that if people are eating alone all the time, if they're not having social engagement, they actually die faster. So their health declines and they go faster, because
Right.
it's just not what we're supposed to have experiencing as humans. We're supposed to be interacting and social. So this whole technology world that we're living in, it's great, but there's a lot of aspects that we've got to keep human.
Mhm.
So that was the basics. Those words came to me. It's kind of like meditation and medication. A lot of people, I teach a meditation class and I show those 2 words. They don't realize there's only 1 letter difference, right? And it's kind of interesting. Or you have, those 3 words are just, they're intertwined. You've got to have the nutrition, you've got to be moving to use that energy, and you've got to be engaging yourself in learning, or your neurotransmitters start to just decline. So that's what we're about. We're really about promoting that wellness aspect. And I think a lot of the agencies, if you look around, you see a lot of like sad people and they're at their worst, and that is a reality. But why not show them that there's potential for still a really nice quality of life while if you can afford this level of care, you can afford to have good, healthy, organic food. You can have somebody one-to-one being there with you, caring for you. And I wish we could do that for everybody.
Yeah. Leah, let's shift gears here and talk a little bit about franchising. So ultimately, what made you decide to franchise the business?
Yeah, so, I can't achieve all of this on my own. And it's like I'm looking for serious partners that are as compassionate about health and wellness and promoting that within family units, and also bringing, care in for those aging family members. And so it all just goes hand in hand. And I felt that it's not going to work if I just had managers that are collecting a paycheck, being employees. It's a different experience. I wanted people that have that passion and a desire to make a difference.
And with so many other brands that are out there in even the franchise space, what do you think is ultimately going to attract franchisees to your brand versus the other?
Well, I think you guys pointed some good things out today, and I'm very involved. I mean, it's not like I'm a personality, but I want to be a person of a resource. I want to make a difference. So I want to help people understand how I've been doing that over the course of my career, and have them also add in their experiences to help promote things and do things in their way that they see fit. But we have a great model which is very supportive in areas that it's difficult to think about starting a home care. And you
Sure.
look at the numbers too. Right now, the market share in home care is of the economy is like $222 billion. And by 2034, it's going to go up to $634 billion. So you're
Holy
looking
cow.
at a huge trajectory. The baby boomers, like a lot of people are
Sure.
still here from even after the COVID, you know, experience that we had and the decline in population. There's still a lot of people here that will need services. And there's no cure for the dementias like Alzheimer's at this point. And so that's going to need to be like, there's no insurance either that covers that care. If you have to spend down your money in order to be in a Medicaid bed in a facility, but do we really want to be there?
Right,
That's not
right.
where we want to be. We want to be home and feeling safe and in our normal environment so we can be as healthy as long as we can.
Sure. Well, Leah, you're taking over the recruitment side for the franchisees, but what are you think are the type of person, or what are the attributes of someone that's going to really be successful in your brand? What do they
Yeah.
need?
Well, I think that there's opportunity for people that are great at operations to fill that level once we get things off the ground. But I think it's somebody that really wants to reach out to the community and get to know others and be very social. That's a very social type of work. You're out there going to different events, especially during the holiday season, going to lectures and that sort of thing. That's how you meet a lot of nurses and social workers. So being inquisitive and exploring life, and it can be, very enjoyable and entertaining too. But also just, somebody who is a good listener that wants to hear, what's going on in families and hearing about how they can, spotting in, how can I help this person? How can I help the whole family? Somebody that's got that patience level. If they're not, like, I've meet a lot of potential franchisees. I've been doing the conference circuit for the past year, and I've met so many wonderful people. And some people, I'm honest and I say, look, you probably won't fit in well to do the referral work and the community relations, but you've got a strength over here in this side of it, operations or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you could hire somebody that's already plugged in. So there's, that opportunity too. There's a lot of people that are liaisons for different companies that are always looking for other opportunities. So they could hire somebody like that.
Sure. Well, that's great that you're willing to come forward and tell them right out of the gate. And that's not something that an early franchisor usually does, by the way. So good for you.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in this world too long, I guess, but I know exactly who's going to fit in what section and of departments, and so I do see strengths. I talk it out. Here's some people that are very good at finances and other pieces, and
Sure.
maybe they're just not really going to be able to connect with because it's hard. You walk in, you're cold calling right away, into the referral sources, and you've got to have that energy of like, hey, I'm here, pay attention to me, try us out. You've got to give us a chance. And typically, when they experience what we're doing, a lot of the social workers in different facilities, they'll be open to doing more because of the success rate.
Leah, how are you marketing your franchise? How are you trying to recruit franchisees? Where are you looking? Where are they coming from?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, have been doing the show circuit. I think it's Great American Franchise. I've been
Hmm.
on their show circuit continuing. We'll be in Houston the end of October and Dallas in November. So I've been doing those shows. And then we also are basically just the consultants through one of the consultant groups. They're sending us leads as well. We haven't really done a whole lot of marketing otherwise. We are looking at marketing to geriatric care managers. We're a partner of the National Association on Geriatric Care Managers. So that's another area that typically could probably drum up some folks that are interested in extending what they do and adding on that care level.
And what is the initial fee, Leah?
It's 58.5 for the initial fee.
And what's the total investment range for the business to get
Yeah,
into the franchise?
that's somewhere between, I think it's 98,000 to 125,000 for the first year.
Okay. And how
Yeah.
big's the territory about?
It's it depends. We look at territories a little differently. We look at how many referral sources are possible in population and demographics of, what their like the income or asset range is of that demographic, so that we can really hone in and determine that we want this to be successful, right? We're going into this not just to get somebody's franchise fee and then call it a day, because honestly, all the time and effort I'm investing with my operations and recruiting and training and consulting is going to eat that up very quickly. So I'm looking at this like I want success for them too. So I want to make sure the demographics are met with the referral sources and population.
Now, Leah, you mentioned earlier about your experience with Home Instead.
Hmm.
Share with us that connection and what ended up leading you to, deciding to be that franchisor.
Yeah, so I don't know, it just fascinated me. I had the opportunity to go to one of their annual events. I knew I was working for a franchise. I was in the marketing division. I was I was a lot younger. And I just I got to see it all, and the owner that I was working with, she was very well connected with the corporate office, and she introduced me around, and I thought, wow, this is such an amazing experience. And
Hmm.
it was so powerful. Like they just had these wonderful themes of different things and showing caregivers like from all around the world that actually flew in to like get awards and stuff. It was so inspiring. And I don't know, I just thought that is amazing, and they're really making a difference across the world. And
Yes.
I have a big vision, and it's to help as many families as I can before I go. So I experienced it, like I said, from a childhood level. And, I know we've got books coming out too, even for kids, about what's happening with your grandparents that might have
Wow.
different illnesses and that sort of thing. I've got a great team working on a whole launch of different products. We already have books on Amazon on holistic self-care. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's really, an experience for everybody who gets involved. We're going to do so many things. We haven't even met my goals yet. Retreats for families as well. So, yeah, there's a lot that I got excited and enlightened about from the Home Instead experience. And it's been generating in my head for like 20 years because it's
Right.
probably one of the first places I worked at in home care.
You know, it's one of the most fascinating things for me about franchising is we all get into the business because of the idea of it's a way of expanding our business. Like you said
Yeah.
early on, I can't do it all myself. We're going to
Right.
need to have other people. But what inevitably happens to every founder, every one of us, is that after we've been in the business a while and we start making an impact on other people's lives, we're like, oh yeah, I
Mhm.
didn't realize the ripple effect I was going to
Right.
have on that many people. Because you
Yeah.
think, okay, you're going to bring franchisees in, you're going to help them have their own business, but then you
Right.
don't realize that they have caregivers, right? They have their own
Mhm.
employees. And obviously the foundation of the business is the actual client
Yeah.
that you're impacting. And
Right.
you don't realize that when you start out, because we
Yeah.
all start out with the same thesis is I can't do it myself. Franchising is a great way of expanding. It's
Mhm.
it's such just a kind of a basic fundamental thought that you have
Right.
no idea ultimately what you're really doing. You're doing something far grander than what we set out to do.
Exactly. And it's so true. And it's same with even just, I expanded, just from Massachusetts into Maine under
Mhm.
our corporate umbrella. And it's like, all of the caregivers and their families, they have kids, a lot of them are single
Sure.
moms. So like, we touch a lot of people's lives, and sometimes we forget about how much it's impacts their lives, and in every direction. Having an owner that, is looking for that experience is really vital, I feel too. Like somebody, you said, I'm looking to expand my business. Yes, it's about the numbers. We're all about the numbers because the numbers will support the whole entity
Exactly.
of everything, just that karma builds too, right?
Right. And you know, the difference between the founders that really take their business to that next level are the ones that embrace it. We
Yeah.
see it as what a level of responsibility. I am so grateful that I'm in this position where I can do this, and we embrace it.
Yeah.
Where some other people might see it as, oh my gosh, this is way too stressful. I'm responsible for too many people,
Yeah.
and that gets scary. That's the difference between people who really make it and those that really, really struggle with it, is they kind of get caught up in not the impact, but the amount of challenges, the amount of people, the amount of moving parts.
Yeah, it's interesting as a franchisor too. Like I've had some friends say to me, "Why are you doing this? You make really good money with what you're doing currently." And I'm
Because
like,
it was never about the money.
"It's not about the money. It's about like my purpose in life, It's like
Right.
this is my baby and it's growing, and I want to do so much more." Yeah.
It is so hard to explain that to someone that doesn't get that
Right.
doesn't understand that's about the baby. It's about growing it. It's about the mission. It's your purpose in life, right?
Right. Right. It is. And that I feel will help me be healthier in the long run too.
Yes.
It's healthier in a lot of ways and more balanced and in a peaceful state, because I know that I've done all I can do, that from all you talk about, all the knowledge that I've gained, it didn't come without some experiences that were very difficult. I had a horse
Right.
accident when I was 31 years old. I actually 32 years old, 2001. I had a horse rear up and fall over backwards on top of me, and it stopped my heart, and my dad had to resuscitate me. So
Oh my gosh.
so that it was very challenging, and I couldn't walk for a little while, and I had to learn how to walk and all of that again. But
That,
having that
that's
experience.
sorry to interrupt there. Do you think
No,
that
it's okay.
that actually shaped the rest of your life?
Absolutely, because it took me to that spiritual perspective. Like I wanted to know why I lived, like,
Mm.
and actually I had like I faced something really interesting. I went to the pharmacy. I was on these medications for anxiety after that because I had post-traumatic stress. And there was a little sign about this woman that had a horse rear up and fall over backwards on top of her, and she actually had passed away, and the family needed funds, for her funeral. And I was at the pharmacy seeing this, and I
Mm.
I walked away from the counter. I said, because I didn't
Okay.
like the medications. It was making me not feel alive. And I said, I'm going to find another way. I was left here. I just saw that sign of this thing that happened to me only a month, or actually it was like 6 months before, and of somebody that unfortunately didn't make it. And how do I use this information? What
Right.
can I do to make a difference? And so I started doing yoga. I started exploring everything to help myself be centered and okay without any anti-anxiety medication.
So this is really key, isn't it? Because this is your founding story.
Yeah,
And
that is.
and I'm super impressed with everything that you've achieved. Like it's so
Yeah,
amazing. But this little bit of your founding story, I think, is really important for you.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, my dad, he resuscitated me, and he had had a CPR course 30 years before at work and
Okay.
never used any of those skills, and he was able to resuscitate me. And, when I was coming to, he was sweating profusely, and he has a heart issue. So I was waking up and I see him like not looking good, and he's crying and he's saying she's gone. And I'm like, who is he talking about? I don't know.
Mm.
So I'm
Oh,
like, tapping his arm, and I'm like, I'm right here. Are you talking about me? Yeah. And then the ambulance came. Yeah, but I'm here, right? And it was truly like life altering for me spiritually,
yeah.
emotionally, everything. I don't worry about stuff like I used to, it's like a different perspective you have on life and death too. I've been asked to speak a lot about that with people that have had terminal illness diagnoses, like
Right.
what the experience was like. And, I really feel like we're pure consciousness, and this is just like we're in a play, like
Right.
this particular experience is basically like, we're acting out in a play. How do we do it best? So uh, here we are.
Well, here we are. Well, Leah, you've made a huge impact on people and a lot more people to come as you blow this thing up.
Yeah.
Let's wrap this up with if someone was interested in learning more about the franchise opportunity, where would they go?
Yeah, so we have a website specific for that. So the franchise website is perfectcarematchcompany.com. And then, you guys, Kirk, I believe you said you really looked
Yep.
over our website. And so that, to understand the services and look at it as a little deeper of what does it actually mean to own one, and what would you be doing. And so that's perfectcarematch.com. So
Awesome.
perfectcarematchcompany.com is franchise, and the other one is just the home care agency.
And Leah, I have one last question for you because I'm a man of traditions, as you probably gathered, and I've got
Okay.
another tradition.
hmm
Always ask the guest at the end: is there any book that has helped you in your business?
In my business. I mean, there are so many books that I've read that have just helped me overall.
Yeah, just a book that's inspired you.
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, The Four Agreements, I love that.
Ooh, that's a good one. I
Yeah.
forgot about that book. Oh, that is an
Yeah.
awesome book.
Frank, have you read every book?
I
It's
have no, well,
incredible.
come on. We've done like 3 episodes together. We've gotten 3 really, really good ones.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, it's impressive how many books you've read. It's quite something.
Well,
Yeah.
I really enjoy, this personal growth, personal development means a lot to me. And, if you're not growing, you're dying, that's what I believe.
Probably not a coincidence that you're one of the most successful franchise owners in the States and have been. So,
Okay.
and is well
That's
educated,
true.
well read. So there you go.
Well, thank you. Well, Leah, thank you so much for being on the show. I appreciate it. I
Yeah.
wish you continued success with your company. And Kirk, thanks again for co-hosting with me. It was a lot of fun.
Thanks, Leah. Thanks, Frank.
Thanks,
Yeah.
guys.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for tuning into the Emerging Franchise Brands podcast. For additional insights, guest applications, and to stay connected, visit us at efbpodcast.com. The Emerging Franchise Brands podcast is for entertainment purposes only, and the views expressed do not necessarily represent those of Emerging Franchise Brands, its host Frank Fiume, or Emerging Franchise Group LLC. Any discussed franchise or investment opportunity requires thorough investigation, obtaining proper disclosure documents, and expert consultation before making any investment decisions. The podcast and its host do not offer professional advice or endorsements, and they hold no responsibility for actions, representations, accuracy, or consequential damages related to the podcast content.